Coming up now on Animal Outtakes,
A little tighter over here, aren't you, buddy?
it's a part of traditional Chinese veterinary medicine, how pets benefit from acupuncture and chiropractic care.
So I usually wrap the tail around me. I just kind of sit back.
These fires are set on purpose, how a prescribed burn can actually help Florida's ecosystem. And this guy as a pet? You won't believe what this hyena's life was like before he came to this sanctuary. This and much more straight ahead on Animal Outtakes. Hello and welcome to Animal Outtakes. I'm Marcia Panucci. Acupuncture has been around for centuries. It's been used in China for thousands of years to stimulate specific points in the body. And that same concept of Chinese medicine is being used on animals today. We caught up with Dr. Richard Funk, who showed us how animal chiropractic care and acupuncture may benefit your pet.
So I usually wrap the tail around me. I just kind of sit back and let him go. If you watch, he's like pulling forward. I kind of hold it together, work it down, work it back up again. I do that a few times. A lot of times it just loosens up that TMJ. They've been working on the bit a lot. So then what I do is I bring him forward, just stretch it a little bit. There you go. That's good. If I think they're a little bit stiff, then sometimes I'll just shake it a little. And what I gotta end up doing is vibrating up the shoulder and into the neck and help loosen them up a bit.
We think of these things obviously for ourselves. Humans get this all the time. What are the benefits of this for the horse?
If you go back to chiropractic philosophy, then the central nervous system is what controls the body. And it's housed in these bony objects, the vertebrae, the spinal cord. And so one of the feelings is that if you get everything back where it's supposed to be, and the bony housing is in alignment like it should be, then the central nervous system can start working, and the animal, the person, can heal itself.
So it's really for health.
Health, yes.
And healing, which of course holistic states, let's heal the body,
That's right.
and then everything will
Most of
take
the
over.
holistic modalities are based on that same premise. Whatever you're doing, whether it's acupuncture needles or homeopathy with the remedies on that, or chiropractic, herbals, the idea is you're correcting the problem and the body's allowed to kind of heal itself.
For the most part, Dr. Funk, are the horses stoic when they have pain? Are they covering it up?
No,
Or do they show it?
it depends on the horse. Because I've had some that barely anything's wrong with them. And you can't touch them. And I've got others that have almost broken legs, and they won't move. So like people, depends on the animal.
His eyes are heavy.
But see, that's what as I adjusted him, and I got this to where it's a little bit looser now.
You know what is amazing though? Humans, when we go for treatments and procedures like this, we're kind of on that table going, ooh, ah, ooh, ah, ooh, ah. He, on the other hand, Blue is enjoying every bit of this.
Yes.
And he's working with you. You can see that.
I've done him several times, and so actually from the very beginning he was good.
Yeah. A component of traditional Chinese medicine, of course, the one that we all know about, is acupuncture.
That's right.
Humans benefit from it. Now, how much do the animals benefit?
They seem to do quite a bit. I've been doing it like 20 years, and it's been very beneficial. I think, one of the theories is that there's no psychological component. You do it, and whether it works or it doesn't work. And the idea is you're releasing the energy. Like when we talk about chiropractic, it was the central nervous system controlling everything. Chinese medicine has the belief of qi, which is energy that flows through the body, and it flows through different channels. And the needles go through to release those points. Like if you have like with him, let's say that neck that was a problem, we'll probably put some points around there to relieve that stagnation, is called, to get things to flow a little bit better.
Now humans, for the most part, don't like needles.
Yeah.
How do the horses do?
Most of them do exceptionally well. Some of them, you know, I've got them, some of them have phobias. They let you do the back, but if you touch the foot, it's terrible. Some of them you can do the feet, but you don't even dare touch the back. And some of them don't care. They just go to sleep.
Doing this, starting at an early age, it does help with the longevity, doesn't it?
It should. It should.
Veterinary chiropractic care and acupuncture is used to treat many chronic diseases like osteoarthritis, allergies, and gastrointestinal issues, as well as to manage pain. We all know fires can be devastating, but what if a forest fire was set on purpose? It's called a prescribed burn, and for the staff at Myakka, Florida State Park, it's a prescription that leads to a more healthy ecosystem. John, we're here in this beautiful gem, Myakka State Park in Florida, and we're on a beautiful road here. But as we look behind us, I see something that looks burnt. Am I seeing right?
You are seeing correctly. About a month ago, we burned this area with a prescribed fire.
Now, prescribed fire, we hear fire, we panic, okay, and then we think about, well, what if it gets out of control and it just decimates a whole area? That's not what you're really talking about, is it?
No, we're talking about prescribed fire. There are months worth of planning prior to us burning these zones.
Now, why would you plant something and plant it and then burn it?
Florida naturally burned on a regular occasion, and this area would have burned every 1 to 3 years.
Now, is that done by man?
Historically, it was done by nature, mainly by dry lightning strikes. And nowadays, being that Florida's natural resources have been altered, that we actually go out and burn them ourselves to mimic the natural fire.
Okay, so now we know the what do we do, why do we do it?
As you can see, the herbaceous plants, the grasses and the sedges, rely on the fire to clear out the lower lying vegetation so that it can produce seed source and other such.
Now, is this for the animals that inhabit this area?
Yes, there are several animals that rely on fire. The gopher tortoise is a keystone species, being that with the lack of fire, you would get overgrown hardwoods, and therefore you would shade out the herbaceous plants. And the herbaceous plants, once they can grow after the fire, that is what the gopher tortoise feed on.
Now, they're not the only animals that are out here. What other animals would we find in this area that might be in a controlled burn?
One of our most popular are our deer. The deer actually rely on the fire as well, due that they are herbivores. They are going to be find areas as well that have the grass to be able to eat.
Now, where do they hide, though, during the fire?
The deer usually find hammocks, as you can see in the far distance, all the oak trees. The fire does not like to carry through the oaks, so the deer naturally run to the hammock areas and wait out the fire.
Okay, so you plan this, obviously, and you execute this how? I mean, does a fire engine come out and we throw a match and we hope for the best?
So the first thing we look at is weather. Weather is what drives fire. The wind, the direction, will push the fire in the way. We look at dispersion. That's how intense the fire is going to be. It'll pull the smoke up into the sky. We also look at the humidity. If we have low humidity, very low, we're going to have erratic fire behavior. But if we have too high, the fire won't burn. So we have to find that humidity right in between. Seasonality, we also depend on when we're going to burn. We can't really burn during the summer months when there's a lot of rain. So we wait for the drier months to burn when it would naturally burn. As we walk through here, you can see that the herbaceous plants, the grasses, the sedges, are starting to come back more than the such here as one of our hardwoods.
Right.
That's one of the purpose is to reduce and top kill these hardwoods to bring back the natural prairie.
So out of this grouping here, what are we hoping to regenerate?
More of the herbaceous plants that
Right
you can see
here?
here. Yeah.
Okay.
This is more what we're looking for, is the herbaceous plants, and reduce our palmetto height down to about 3 feet. We don't call them controlled burns.
Okay.
We call them prescribed burns. That we write a prescription like a doctor does to prescribe to fix
So you're Dr. Meyer writing the prescription.
Right. Therefore, we prescribe the fire. We're basically manipulating fire. We control the fire. We try to control it. Fire kind of does what it wants to, but we manipulate it by sending backing fires and head fires and flanking fires and different firing techniques to control the fire the best we can.
So you do the prescribed burn. Mm-hmm. The animals come back. It appears that life is good.
Yep.
How many prescribed burns do you have in a particular area? This one is done.
Yes.
When would be the next time you would do this?
This would be 2 to 3 years.
Okay. So it's a good thing.
It is. It's a great thing. Florida's natural habitats rely on fire. That's our main way that we manage the land.
So it's humane all the way around.
Yes.
A wildfire is a fire that is not controlled. It happens at the wrong place, at the wrong time. A wildfire can cost taxpayers millions of dollars a year. A prescribed fire is meticulously planned and can reduce the threat of a wildfire. Jake the hyena's old life was nothing to laugh about. We'll find out more about his story next. Many active duty servicemen and women face a dilemma as they prepare for deployment. Who will look after their canine companion until they return? Dantes Den provides temporary boarding for their dogs as they serve. We honor the trust placed in us by members of the armed forces by giving their furry friends loving care, spacious dens, on-site veterinary care, and plenty of room to run and play. For more information, go to dantesden.org or call 844-DANTES-DEN.
People have asked me what it'll cost to restore all the corals back the way they remember. But I have to ask them, what will it cost if we don't do anything?
Welcome back. Octagon Wildlife Sanctuary is a place animals who have been abandoned, abused, or mistreated go to live. Some animals, like the one you are about to meet, come to the sanctuary with an unbelievable story. Jackie, this is one interesting character, right?
She sure is. Yep.
And now wait a minute, you just said she.
Yes.
But her name is Jake. What happened here?
Well, the gentleman that bought her as a cub, or a pup, I should say, didn't realize that she was female.
Oops.
Oops, he thought she was a male, so he named her Jake.
And the reason for that is anatomically, the sexual organs are on the outside rather than the inside.
Exactly.
But he just didn't look.
Well, he didn't know that, so he saw them, and he named her Jake.
Well, we've been watching Jake the hyena here, who is just absolutely charming and wonderful. But she has a story, doesn't she?
She sure does. Jake was actually bought by a gentleman who kept her in a 9th floor apartment building in Miami Beach, along with a sloth that he had ultimately confiscated as well. He was feeding Jake one morning and put his arm in the cage to feed her, and she broke his arm. So I think at that point he kind of figured, wow, this may not work. This might not have been a good idea.
At least though he had the arm.
He did have the arm. So he did the right thing. He surrendered the animal to a facility over on the East Coast, but unfortunately they didn't have the licenses and the permit that you need for a hyena. So they contacted Lori, our director, and Lori does have those credentials. So we were able to take Jake.
And that's why Jake is flourishing here.
Absolutely, yeah. She's doing wonderfully, she really is. She's been here for several years.
She's actually got the new lease on life.
Absolutely, absolutely. She loves it here, we love her. I wish she would talk to us a little more right now, but...
Well, I think she is. You speak so much about the credentials that are needed, especially for a sanctuary like this. In brief, what are we really talking about?
We're talking about USDA, state, federal, and fish and wildlife regulations.
So veterinarians have to be on staff.
Yes.
Certain medical care has to be given. The habitats have to be certain sizes.
Correct. Our habitats are larger than USDA regulation requires. A lot of people, you know, you look at them and say, oh, we really don't, you know, they're so small. Well, they're not. They're larger than regulation, and all of the animals have plenty of room to run. Most of the animals are too old and, you know, hip problems, bone problems, so they don't run. So they're very adequate.
What kind of hyena is Jake?
She's a spotted hyena.
But she's big.
She's huge. I've been to Africa 3 times and I've seen hyena in the wild, and I have never seen one that big. So I don't know what it is. Good genes?
Good genes, good breeding, and now a lot of love.
A lot of love.
This carnivore is faster in the water than on land. We'll meet him next.
Raycom Sports and Blizzard Entertainment are debuting a new 5-part series. It's called Heroes of the Dorm, and students from the Atlantic Coast region are competing in Blizzard's Heroes of the Storm for over $500,000 in scholarships and prizes. The tournament features teams from colleges across the United States and Canada battling in Heroes of the Storm, featuring characters and lore from almost 30 years of Blizzard Entertainment. We also go behind the scenes with some of these gamers to see what they're doing when they're not playing video games.
My name is Haley. I have Fragile X syndrome. I work with Chartwells at Einstein's and FAU. I like being up front and interacting with students. The students are very nice and very hungry. Having a job is a big ticket for independence.
Hi, this is Dan Marino. When your business recruits people with disabilities, everybody wins. To find out how, go to disabilitieswork.employflorida.com.
Chris Domine is a husband, father, an athlete, even an Ironman. But 10 years ago, Chris's kidneys were failing.
The doctor said if you don't do dialysis, if you don't get a kidney transplant, you are going to die.
Then Chris received a second chance, made possible by an organ donor.
Your well-being changes from loss of hope to better times ahead.
Imagine what you could make possible. Learn more and sign up as an organ, eye, and tissue donor. Go to organdonor.gov.
This is a little broad-nosed caiman. They are found in southern South America. They are also an endangered species, Caiman laterostris, and they have the broadest nose of any crocodilian. It's even broader than the American alligator. And what that can tell us is a little bit about what they eat. Broadnose caimans eat a lot of hard-shelled things like clams and land crabs and that sort of thing. They really, even as youngsters, they really love crayfish. They like hard stuff. They've got those big, heavy jaws. The only animals of this species that are being produced in this country that I'm aware of are the ones that we're producing. I did hear of one other breeding, but it was siblings, and no, you should not be breeding siblings. One of the things we haven't talked about is the suitability of crocodilians as pets. It's real simple. They're not pets. Crocodilians are not pet animals. If you decide that you're going to work with crocodilians, you have a really fervent interest and you're going to put in the time and money that it takes to do so, then it's another story. But these are not pets, folks. Please understand that. What I do with these animals and what we do with them comes from a lot of years of experience. I've been working with these animals for almost 55 years. And you don't get an animal like this by ignoring it in a tank somewhere. We work with these animals with regularity. We know what to do. We know how to get them to this point where they're very tame. The average person not only is not capable of that, but it's a dangerous situation. There's never a reason to put yourself in danger or your children or anyone else. So it's the old, you know, don't try this at home, kids. The broad-nosed caimans can get to be about 6 feet maybe 6.5 feet long. The boys are much larger than the girls, as with almost all crocodiles. And they've got a beautiful pattern. And they'll retain much of this pattern even when they get older. They'll get a little bit darker. They also have quite a voice on them. And he's so used to being handled that he's not going to talk for us, but he's quite a guy. And again, his mouth is open, not because he's being aggressive. If he wanted to bite my finger, it's right there. That's just part of his regulating, his temperature regulating that he's going to do. And let's look at the foot for a moment. Almost no webbing. That tells you that they're much more terrestrial. They spend a lot more time out of the water than many other species do. They will even hunt on land. They're pretty quick. Almost nothing people know about crocodiles is correct. And that's an important point.
Stay with us. Ask the Vet is coming up next.
If you're looking for the perfect trip that allows you to spend quality time with the family, then discover the great outdoors on an Alabama Black Belt adventure. Create unforgettable memories while hunting, canoeing, camping, and more. Or challenge yourself on Robert Trent Jones Golf Trail, now celebrating 25 years. And while you're here, enjoy a Deep South dining experience. Book your adventure in one of our members' lodges or stay at the Renaissance Montgomery Hotel and Spa. Start planning an Alabama Black Belt adventure today.
I witnessed him have 2 heart attacks in ICU. He went through seizures.
We'd much rather have Aaron like this than dead. A lot of parents don't have that luxury.
He can't talk. He can't walk. This is a condition Aaron will live with for the rest of his life because he abused prescription pills.
Mind your meds. Learn more from the Partnership for Drug-Free Kids.
My name is Julius. I have cerebral palsy. I work for Farmer Jeffy Weising Law Firm. I do a lot of data entry and scanning documents. I want to increase my working experience to make the company much better. At the end of the day, it's good to think of the day's work and to think about what I have accomplished.
Hi, this is Dan Marino. When your business recruits people with disabilities, everybody wins. To find out how, go to abilitieswork.employflorida.com.
Soldiers in the Army National Guard serve to give back to their country and communities. Their part-time commitment qualifies them for an array of benefits, such as affordable health and life insurance benefits, education benefits, including tuition assistance, student loan repayment and GI Bill programs, a retirement plan based on part-time service, and VA home mortgages. Visit NationalGuard.com to learn more about all the benefits available in the Army National Guard.
Dr. Glassman, we've talked so much about arthritis, and there's so much more for us to learn. It's not only the hips, is it?
Oh, absolutely not. You can have arthritis of pretty much any joint in your body. Another common, no, not so common and less heard of, is called OCD, not obsessive compulsive disorders, which people and some pets have, but osteochondritis dissecans, which are cartilage, genetic cartilage defects, most common in, again, large breed dogs. Shoulders, elbows, and knees are the most common, and they'll show signs of pain maybe between 4 to 12 months of age. And we can x-ray, sometimes you have to get very perfect x-rays to see these cartilage defects. But it's another genetic component, and as we talked before, if you can maybe reduce the severity of it, if you don't let them grow maximally, you don't let the puppies just eat uncontrolled and they get, heavy, and the bones grow at maximal rates, that can help worsen these problems. Again, no tremendous amounts of excessive jumping and playing because they pound on their joints and create inflammation. So good modest exercise, but I wouldn't have a puppy running, 3-5 hours a day pounding on their joints.
Now you have mentioned this word every time you've spoken about arthritis, genetics. So some people in our audience go to breeders and they're getting their purebreds. And then those of us who have the adoptive dogs, we don't know their history. Right. And sometimes it's very unfortunate. Breeders are either not forthcoming or they truly don't know the family tree. As the new parent to these dogs, how do we figure this out?
Well, unfortunately, you really don't know. I mean, if you have honest breeders, they do a good job trying to breed out the bad traits. But it's not always such a simple straight line issue. You can have diseases which are recessive, meaning the parents don't have the traits, but they carry recessive genes, and you get two, a male, female together, and the puppy gets both recessive genes, let's say, and then the disease shows up. So even good breeders, you know, you can have puppies with a condition that the parents didn't have. So you just can't do anything about that. It's very complicated. And when you adopt a pet, again, we have no idea of their real background, but just, you know, looking for the common signs of lameness, pain, and then your veterinarian has to sort out and take x-rays usually to figure out, is this, you know, arthritis, osteochondritis dissecans, whatever the case, or ligament tear, like cruciates of the knees. The cruciate ligaments in the knees are a very
that's a bad one.
That's a bad one too, and we actually think now, a lot of orthopedic surgeons think now that's a form of arthritis, where these animals genetically are just predisposed to the ligaments in the knee. They're called cruciates because right inside the knee there's two ligaments that crisscross, so they get the name cruciate, and it's easy to tear, usually what's called the anterior one, and it's a common injury, like especially in athletes, football players, you get hit from the side, you tear, or animals running and they twist and you can tear a cruciate. But some of these may have been predisposed because it was already degenerating and you didn't know about it because it was part of their genetics.
So much is prescribed by the diet. Don't overfeed the dog. Maybe have them a little bit hungry rather than
I like to see them. I like to see them a little on the lean side. In my general guideline, I tell everybody for adult dogs is it's 1 cup of food. If you're feeding a good basic quality food, 1 cup for 25 to 30 pounds of body weight per day. My 65-pound dog gets 2 cups and like a couple tablespoons of canned food to add some flavor. And I have a master's in nutrition, so I'm a little more focused on this than a lot of veterinarians just because of my background. But it makes me mad because even the good companies have these wide ranges of feeding guidelines on the bag, like, oh, 1.5 to 2.5 cups. Well, I tell you should probably stick to the low end of that guideline and not the high end, because I think all these companies don't mind your pets being a little overweight, eating a little more food. Sure. But for adult dogs, 1 cup for 25 to 30 pounds really works pretty well for the average. And it depends on, you know, their activity and all that, and everybody's got individual metabolism. But I'd like that as a good guideline. I'd like to see a pet a little on the thin side and a little on the heavy side.
So do you feed them once or twice a day?
I like twice a day, but it's acceptable to feed adult dogs once a day. But I think they're a little more satisfied getting twice a day feedings.
So we can help this arthritis situation.
You might prevent a little bit and slow it down and not worsen it if you feed unlimited amounts and exercise unlimited amounts. You could enhance arthritis.
We hope you've had fun and learned a thing or two along the way. We will be back here again next week with even more animals and some wild adventures. Until then, thanks for watching. Hello and welcome to Animal Outtakes. Outtakes. Hi. Okay. Veterinarian. Jake the hyena's old life was nothing to laugh at. Jake.